Hi and welcome back to the workshop. I'm Jessica. Today we're going to experiment with enameling on steel. So in some previous videos I was asked, have you ever done enameling on steel? I played with it a little bit, but in this video I'm going to delve in and we're going to see what the results are. Let's get started. I will be starting with some copper blanks. These are actually from roses, and they were leftovers that Roy didn't use. I think they were the smallest petal in the pattern, and so I'm going to clean these up a little bit with some sandpaper, and then I will be shaping them. So now for the shaping portion, I'm going to use this small swedge block that Roy made, and the side that I cleaned, I'm going to put that face side up. That'll be the inside of the little dish. And I'm going to use just a little plastic mallet that Roy had on hand to shape this. Now I'm getting ready to apply my first layer of enamel, and to do so, since this is a domed piece, I am going to apply it's kind of like a glue. It's half clear fire, which is like a very sticky substance, and then just some distilled water, mix 50-50, and I just have it in a little lid here, and I can apply it with a paintbrush. Alternatively, you can put this on with a Prevacel sprayer that atomizes it, but brushing it works just as well for me. It gets it on there nice and thick. And you got to make sure you get all the way up to the edges, otherwise when you sprinkle it on, it will not stick in those areas. So over here I have some white enamel, and I'm just going to go ahead and tap the sifter and kind of roll the piece as I'm going until I have a nice even surface coat of the powdered enamel. There we have it, I think. And I can shake off the bottom, dust it off a little bit in case any fell through. Because these are blanks, they do have the little holes on the bottom. And that's what it looks like. And I'm going to put it over here to let sit for a little bit while I continue doing the others. Same process as before. And the reason I am doing a white base coat on these is that some of the next layers that I will be doing on them are transparent, and so the transparency over the steel would have a much darker look than they do over white. So that is the reason why I'm doing this. Also, the bottom of these are not going to be enameled. This is fairly thick material, so it does not require counter enamel to prevent stress to the metal. But it could be enameled for the aesthetics of the piece. If you were doing a piece similar to this that was viewable on all sides, you might consider enameling the bottom as well. And by the way, if you are interested in trying out enameling, I will put kind of like a list of the items I'm using down below, and I'll try to put some links too to where you can find the materials if you're wanting to try it out. And it's pretty low cost, like if you're doing it with a torch, like I will be doing it today. It prevents you from having to buy an expensive kiln right out the bat that those can run. They can run upwards of $700-800, but if you already have a torch on hand, that'll work just fine. Some people even use a MAP gas torch with, I think it's butane, in order to torch fire their pieces. But the thicker the metal, the harder it will be to use just a small little handheld torch. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and move over to the torch and fire these. Now that these have been torch fired, you can see that they have a glossy white coat now. Instead of looking like powdered sugar on the surface, they are a nice white sheen. And since they are fairly thick steel, they need to cool for a while. I can't touch them yet by hand, so while we're waiting on that, I am going to show you the colors I'll be using on these flowers. The first color is a blue-green. The second one is a sky blue. The third is a pastel green. The fourth is a pink. And lastly is a bit of yellow that I will be sprinkling in the center to represent the stamens. Alright, as before on this piece, I will start by adding the mixture of clear fire and water that will make the enamel stick, and bringing that right up to the edge. And then I will follow that with my base coat of this pastel green, and I want to get it on there pretty thick and even, and I can do that by just tilting the piece in my hands as I go and making sure I get the edges as well. And by the way, this tool I'm using here is called a sifter. So there we have it. And then also I'm going to take my little sifter with a bit of the yellow in it, and I'm just going to lightly sprinkle that around the center of the circle there, just like so. And that one will get set on the rack and it's ready to fire. Alright, so I definitely learned a few lessons on this, and the first one is to make sure you are wearing safety glasses, which I had them on when this happened, but when I went to heat up this one and this blue one in the back, I heated them too fast, and the steel must have expanded before the enamel did, and hence you can see the enamel chipped off the white layer, the very first layer it chipped off, and you can see the raw steel underneath it. And the same thing happened on this blue one back here, and then I realized what was happening, and so I started heating it more slowly, which that was the fix. So this pink one back here, I was able to fully get that one enameled and up to heat and just fine without any cracks. So that is what I'm going to continue doing. Alright, so I am going to patch up these cracked pieces by just taking my brush and just where the enamel came off, just touch that up right there, and the rest of it's fine. I don't really need to apply the white base layer again. I'm just going to use my little sifter here and try to build it up equally to what it was previously. And it's okay if it overlaps a little bit on the other area. So something like that hopefully will do the trick. And I will put that over on the trivet and get this layer fired again before I can have another go at the color layer. This one here, I was able to catch it before it chipped too far. So again, same thing. Just trying to cover up the steel so that my color shows up better. So yeah, that should be all it takes for this. Alright, so here are the finished projects. This one is a sky blue. It kind of had some pooling of the enamel there. I had gone for extra layers after the original layer. I did an extra layer of sky blue and of the yellow enamel. And so it kind of had a bit of pooling on that one. Over here is the pink one. That one overall turned out really well. I could have added a little more yellow around the center there for the representative of the stamens. Over here on the pastel green one, this one had a few bubbling issues. I don't know if you can see them very well, but there's a bubble over here. And I'm not quite sure why I was getting it with this one specifically. It seemed like I was getting a lot of bubbling. So perhaps if the powdered enamel was dried more after application, perhaps it would help prevent that. Something I can play with some more in the future. And over here I had the blue-green, and it turned out with a neat effect. It did start peeling away at the edges as it was being fired, so that was kind of unfortunate. Again, I don't know if that's just from the steel and it doesn't want to bond with it, but it happened, I think, 2 places here and here. But overall, the question of can you enamel steel? The answer is yes. It's definitely more finicky than copper, so if you have the ability to work with copper instead, I would recommend it because it just seems to go easier with fewer flaws with the copper. But anyway, I am happy with the results on this project. I think they turned out decent. If you have any ideas on what would be neat to see enameled, let me know down in the comments below. And you can also tell me which one of these was your favorite color. So anyway, thank you for joining me in the shop, and I hope to catch you next one. Take care now.